phone. Hey there, YouTube. So what I'm doing here is I have my old phone connected to Facebook Live, and I have my new phone connected to YouTube Live. So I'm doing two live streams at the same time. And, it's a multitasking era, so try and get two birds with one stone. But I just wanted to talk with you folks a little bit about the NFL Blackout, because a lot of folks don't really understand what's going on. The NFL Blackout is necessary because my phone's... There we go. All right. A lot of folks don't really understand what's going on with the NFL Blackout. So basically what's going on is that the mainstream media is refusing to cover the murders of black people as what they are, which is murder. And instead they say things like officer-involved shooting happened, and a hardened criminal was killed today. And what doesn't get mentioned is that, black people are singled out for special prosecution by law enforcement at a higher rate than just about any other cross-section of people, aside from Native Americans. And, white privilege allows us to turn a blind eye to the murders of black people, because we're able to sort of look away and pretend like it's not an actual issue. It's something that we don't take accountability for. And what happens is that it's at the point now where athletes, professional athletes, people who make millions and millions of dollars, are endangering their professional career to try and draw attention to the fact that black people are being murdered at a disproportionate rate by law enforcement. And, it's coming out that there was collusion between NFL owners to prevent Colin Kaepernick from having a job. They essentially got together in their good old boys network and disenfranchised him from employment, because they didn't want him to put his message out, because they were concerned that by Kaepernick putting his message out that black people should not be murdered, that it would endanger their stranglehold on power. And it's a testament to the condition of our country that, by and large, media was complicit. Media was complicit. They're still being silent on the fact that black people are being murdered by cops, and the NFL is falling in lockstep with law enforcement and white supremacy, because this is an issue to do with white nationalism. In essence, we don't like to talk about it like that, but if you look at the ownership of the NFL and you pay attention to who is sponsoring the television programs, which is what the NFL is, you'll find that by and large it's not black people. By and large, the people who are sponsoring NFL football games and paying for the contracts of NFL players are white people. So they don't want to be put into check over murdering black people. They don't want culpability for it. Because in essence, what's going on is that the moneyed elite allow law enforcement to kill people of color. And while the moneyed elite are allowing the people of color to be murdered, they don't want to have to acknowledge that that's what's happening. It's to the point now where professional athletes are having to stand up and speak out about it, because they don't want to stand by and turn a blind eye to murder. That's what's going on, is murder. And people are trying to turn this subject on its head and pretend like we shouldn't boycott the NFL. But I'm here to tell you, we should boycott the NFL. We should boycott any corporation which disenfranchises people of their voice and tries to prevent people from expressing their rightful opinions on murder. Because that's what's going on. It's murder. If any number of Anglo-Americans, white people, were murdered by police at the frequency that black people are murdered by police, there would be an all out revolution on. The media would be all over it. The media would be in a frenzy trying to stop police and make police accountable for killing people. But because the people being murdered are black, the media turns a blind eye to it, and by and large, we as citizens also turn a blind eye to it. So, for us to continue watching the NFL when the NFL is and continues to shut out the voices of black players who are speaking out against what we know is genocide. We know it's genocide. Don't pretend like it's anything else, because the level at which black people are being murdered in the United States is a genocidal level. It's genocide. And it's mostly condoned by the media. And I hate to say it, but it's condoned by us through our silence. In this day and age, being silent on issues that matter is violence. White silence is violence. So speak out against the NFL. Speak out against, black people being disenfranchised of their voice. Because that's what's going on, is that their voice, speaking out against massacre, against murder, genocide, is being silenced by the media, it's being silenced by the NFL, and it's by and large being ignored by the viewing public. So I haven't been watching NFL games at all this year. I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. I'm somewhat ashamed to admit that, because we just about never win. And, it's tempting for me to turn back on the bread and circuses and to sort of lose myself in the nostalgia, because I get nostalgic feelings of being young and watching the Dallas Cowboys with Troy Aikman and Michael Irving and, Emmitt Smith. So anyway, I'm blacking out the NFL. I refuse to watch any NFL games until we start including black people as members of society and not pretending like they can be murdered without repercussion. Because that's essentially what's going on right now, is that law enforcement, even when they're videotaped killing people in the streets, killing unarmed people in the streets, even when they're videotaped doing that, they still aren't held accountable for their actions. They're not held accountable. If you or I went out and killed someone in the streets and we were videotaped doing it, we would be in jail for a long, long time. And so for law enforcement to have some sort of exceptionalism, that they get to not be held to such a high standard of justice, that they can't kill people brazenly, kill unarmed people, that's not right. It's not right. And, if turning off an NFL game is a sacrifice for me, if that's the level of sacrifice that I'm being called on to make to show my solidarity with my African American relatives, because for me, I have African American family. My cousins, I have black cousins. For whatever reason, I get to be the half Jewish, half Native American cousin, but some of my cousins are half black and half Jewish. And, they face racial discrimination. They face racial discrimination purely based on the color of their skin. And for me to turn off a football game and not watch a football game as a show of solidarity for an entire race of people who are being massacred in the streets of America, that's a small sacrifice on my part. And it's something that I hope you guys can join in. And I know that number 45 is telling people to not watch football as if we should not watch football on his account. But no, I'm in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. I'm in solidarity with the NFL players who are asking us to take a knee to block out the NFL until the NFL can stand in solidarity with its players. Stand in solidarity with all people of color who are being unjustly killed by law enforcement without accountability. And really, our whole country should be standing in solidarity or kneeling in solidarity with people of color, because they shouldn't have to worry about being murdered just by going outside of their house. They shouldn't have to worry about being murdered for driving. Driving while black, driving while brown should not be a crime that gets people killed. Sandra Bland should not have died for failure to signal a turn. Eric Garner should not have died for selling loose cigarettes or for breaking up a fight. You know, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And it's difficult for some of us to say that and to see it and to acknowledge it. But you know what? We have a responsibility as people of a free country to stand in solidarity with all oppressed people. All oppressed people, especially black people who are being openly killed in the streets by police. So I'm part of the NFL blackout. I won't be watching the NFL. I won't be buying any of their merchandise or wearing any of their merchandise. I don't believe that they should silence players who are speaking out against massacre, wholesale massacre of black people. I think that they should have a right to say their piece, to sit, stand, or kneel when they feel like it, if that's how they feel. Because honestly, if taking a knee offends your sensibilities, try having your relatives shot in the street and see how offended you are then. Because that's what's going on for these people. That's why they're doing a boycott right now. And I'm in solidarity with that man-caught, the NFL. So with all that said, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day out there, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I'll talk to you really soon.